we will get started. So welcome, and we really appreciate you being here, spending your time with us, but most importantly, your energy, because we believe everything is an energy exchange. So we welcome you to our Power and Aging webinar. We've just had a moment, obviously, before this to get started to find out, where we're from. But I would invite you to utilize the chat if you're able to, if you're especially on a device that has the chat feature. And we'd love to know why you are here. What brought you here today? And I know we did discuss a little bit before, but that would, if you want to write in the chat, I know I've spoken with a couple of you and you're just curious as to the program. Lori, you've joined ours before as well, I know, and you're doing a little refresh before we get started in our program in September. So I don't know if I know if you're on a phone, it's a lot harder to chat. Oh, yeah, and you're welcome to unmute yourself for this as well. Laura, you're unmuted. Did you want to say? Oh, no, you're muted again. That's all right. Well, we hope whatever the reason is that brought you here, that it's whether it's a referral from a friend or maybe you saw our ad on Facebook, something that grabbed your attention and made you a little bit curious about what we do. So we will go through a quick overview of what we have planned for you. Mel's gonna work the slides, advance. I don't know if there we go. What brought you here today? And then we'll go on to the next slide, Mel, if you could. Oh, referral. Thanks, Charmaine. Yeah, I appreciate that. We love word of mouth referrals. It's the best way, right? People who already know myself or Melanie or who know the program. It's always the best way from the heart is the word of mouth referrals. So in our webinar today, we're going to be together approximately 45 minutes or so. And we're going to talk, first of all, about us, give you a quick background on Melanie and myself. And then we're going to talk why PIA. Why did Power and Aging start? What was the reason and the thought behind it? We have a very short survey for you that you'll know why at the end we were asking you this. And we're going to dive in and explore a few areas of aging that, I mean, there are so many. And in our program, we change them every month, but just to touch on a few today, some of the big areas that come up as we age and go through midlife together is core beliefs, body image, that's a big one, and then grief and letting go. Now we're going to put all these pieces together to show you how we can work through them together and how we have made that a possibility in our community and in our program. And then we are going to explain our online membership and give you your bonus offer as well for joining us. So without further ado, I will tell you myself, and I think, well, I know some of you already, but for those that I don't, my name is Christine, and I'm a certified life skills coach. I haven't always been a coach. I started off my journey years ago as an actor, actually. I was in the TV and film industry as well as theater, studied in New York, moved to Toronto, then to Vancouver. I was a TV presenter in England when I lived there. So I absolutely love that sort of art and craft, but I knew it wasn't going to be my forever. Well, I knew that more recently, which I will also talk about when we get to that area, and have gone into a lot more spiritual practices. I've been working on my spiritual practice for about 25, 30 years. I've become an angelic light worker as well as an angelic Reiki master practitioner. I love, my spiritual practice. I also love traveling, and was lucky and fortunate to make it part of my career and started working on cruise ships. So I spent over 3 years of my life at sea, off and on, and traveling the world, getting to see a lot. I was also an exchange student a few times, lived in Brazil for a year, was in Holland for a while. So lots of traveling, and I still love it. It's my free spirit, coming alive. But then I took on the biggest job ever, which was motherhood, and that is my heart and my passion. I have two beautiful boys, although every mother says that, but I have Rio, who is 12, and Kai, who is 9.5. And they are, pretty much the big part of my life, but it's all about, family and serving and helping each other, which also led me to wanting to do the coach work. So bringing it all together, that has been my journey over the last decade or so. And you'll learn a little bit more about me as we go along, but I will pass it over to Mel right now, and she can tell you a little more about herself.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So my name is Melanie, and I've known Christine actually since we were 10. So we've done a lot of these things sort of together or somewhat aligned somehow. I've been in the restaurant industry. My dad's a chef, so I've had restaurants with family. I've had restaurants alone. I love to travel. I was actually a tour guide in Central America for a couple of years. I am also a mother. I have a 23-year-old, just one, but he's older than Christine's. She started a little later than I happened to. And I really love nature, and I think and health. Like, I've been a fitness coach, and I've done health coaching. That's sort of my aspect. And I love teaching people how to eat, whole foods, and bring it back to simplicity, bring it back to nature, really, in order to heal themselves, because your body is so incredible. Our bodies are really incredible. So that is sort of my contribution to PIA. I'm the health arm and wellness, and together we have a pretty good combination going on, eh, Chris?
Absolutely, Mel. I have to say, so this will lead into why PIA Power and Aging. It started, oh, goodness me, about 2.5 years ago now. I was always drawn to groups. Like, I love groups of people. The energy can be super fantastic and very supportive. And when I was in my life coach skills certification training, we did a lot of facilitating group coaching and workshops. And maybe from my background as a TV presenter, I just found it my jam. I loved it. I loved the energy coming together. And I felt really inspired to create a group coaching program. That being said, I was also going to be hitting 50 at the time. So this was a few years ago, and it was that big, oh my goodness moment, where everything starts, coming at you, and you start questioning your physical body, your, everything mentally, emotionally. And I, felt really drawn to supporting women going through the same things that I was going through, middle age. And there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. Some of it's really great and positive, and we, can really come into our own and find our power. And then there's also some big challenges and twists and turns in the journey that, having that group to support you and working through things can really, really be a big benefit. So that was my goal and my focus. I realized that in the coaching industry, if you will, there was sort of like a lack of area for an aging niche, if you will. So I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's work in this area. Let's work on women, going through the challenges, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, of aging. And I thought this is going to be a wonderful focus. I set to work on this program with another life coach that I had certified with. And she and I started off, and it was great. Although then she ended up getting whisked away to another full-time job, and I found myself sort of back to square one. And as Mel mentioned, I've known her since we were 10. So, oh my goodness, a lot of decades now. And she's a health and wellness coach. And I thought this is going to be the perfect combination. We'll have the life coach to get us through the motivation, the emotional, the mental, and then we'll have a health and wellness coach to help with the physical body and, body image and things that we are going through, and what we, put into our bodies, and, whether it's, reading material, right? And then what we're taking in mentally, or what we're physically putting into our body. So power and aging then sort of ballooned. And now throughout the 2 years, we've been doing guest speaker events. So once a month, with the exception of summers, we have a wonderful live guest speaker come in and give us a lot of value to our community. And we're offering workshops. And now we've evolved into an online membership program. which we are going to, highlight and outline for you throughout this program. So this is my baby. I'm super, proud of it and feel very passionate about, having women come together to rediscover who they are at this age and to empower themselves, knowing that they can do anything. Age is just a number. So we have a quick little survey for you that we have a few questions, and I would love to know, and you can just utilize the chat again, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What would best help you to find your power in aging? So if you sat and thought, okay, where am I at? What is going to get me through this journey of midlife? Would it be one, exploration of really pertinent and vital topics that are all related to aging and going through midlife? Would it be two, self-development and transformational work? Three, lots of healthy challenges that will help us promote growth and give us some empowering tips and tools. Four, live coaching, group coaching sessions where we work together. Or five, an active, engaging, and supportive community. We come together, like-hearted community. So what would be the thing that you would help you most? Again, if you can just write in the chat. We've done previous webinars and had many responses. I mean, there are people who love to do the self-exploration, self-discovery work on their own. There's others who feel that the group work and the coaching and the small community groups are really what's going to, get them through. Lori, I see that you are off mute. Maybe you can't chat or.
Oh,
That's okay. Do
I
you
can't
have
really.
do you have a response? I know you're driving, so you can't actually type
Yeah,
into
I
the chat.
can't really type.
So
I
what
would
would
just say, sorry, go ahead, Christine.
Yes, no, sorry. Do you have one or more of those things that would be the best
Well,
solution for you?
I think just sort of healthy transformation and changing up habits and routines and so on to focus more on just a better lifestyle, I guess.
Okay, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I can mute you again because I know you're driving.
Okay, thanks.
And
Somebody,
oops, sorry, I may have cut you off there. Didn't mean to. And then Charmaine, you've written number 3 and 5. Lori's was sort of hinting towards 2 and 3. I got a private message as well for 5 from Susan. So yeah, these are things that, all of these things really are what is going to help build you up and get you where you need. Now, you might need more of one thing than another person. You might find that, you thought you needed this, and as time goes on, oh, wow, actually, this is what's really helping me through it, right? So these are all ways. And I have to say, with our program, we like to offer you all of the above. This is something that we feel very strongly, and we have put a lot of time and energy into, highlighting all of these features in our program, and ways that we're going to explore these big areas of aging that will come up within our community and within this journey of aging. So let's dive in. We can come back to that survey at the end as well. To the first area we're going to talk about is core beliefs. This is a huge one. This is something that, you may or may not even realize what is, what are your belief systems? A lot of us don't stop to sort of think about, oh, this is what I believe, or this is, why I've been holding back because this is part of my belief system. So allowing yourself to really dig into this area, and start thinking about why we believe things, right? Is it holding us back? Is it serving us? This first quote, our core beliefs need to be seen for what they really are: deeply held assumptions about reality that our particular life circumstances have conditioned us to accept as absolute truth. And that is exactly it. Truth versus perception. Is it our truth, right? Or have we just been told that? So when you break it down, what exactly are beliefs? Beliefs are ideas or generalizations that we make about the world. They're based on our reference point of experiences that we've had. They're part of our programming, and they're things that we've learned to accept from our childhood, from other people in our lives or our significant others, possibly from our education systems, from our culture, and just from general events that have happened in our lives. And beliefs are judgments. They're actually judgments and evaluations that we make on ourselves or on other people, and they determine our motivation, our attitude, our feelings, and our actions. And they can actually also determine our success and failures in life. So, what are some of these limiting beliefs that we hit as we go through middle age? Just as a few examples here that we're going to bring up. My value decreases as I age. Oh, Mel, if you could just jump back a slide, that would be great. So thank you. My value decreases as I age, right? How many of us think that? How many of us think we have less value to give now than we did when we were younger, right? Is that a belief that we have learned or picked up along the way somehow? Maybe we've heard it, read it on a greeting card somewhere, or heard somebody else talking about it. I get less attractive, and therefore that would make me less lovable. And I know that that's a big thing as we watch our bodies, our physical bodies change and our insecurities pop up and things come for us, that's a big one. Not only do we feel less attractive, but that also might equate to feeling less lovable. Younger is better. Ooh, that is society in a nutshell. Everybody's trying to sell you an anti-aging cream, right? Everything is anti-aging. Don't do it. Stay young and youthful, which you'll learn with us, our philosophy is very much pro-aging, right? It's a wonderful and can be a wonderful experience. So younger is better can be a limiting belief, or I'm not good enough anymore. Maybe you once thought you were, but you're no longer being accepted or received at your workplace with the value that you have earned. Maybe you feel in your relationships like your children have left the nest, for example, and you're no longer feeling that you have that same sense of worth, or that you identified your whole worth and value on them needing you, and now they've left the house, and now what, right? So I'm not good enough anymore. My kids don't need me now. Slowing down is a part of aging. Now, I also work in a sector with some seniors, and I do see a lot of it is mindset, right? Slowing down is not necessarily a part of aging, but we've been told that. We've been told we need to slow down for whatever reason. Society has placed that on us, right? So these are limiting beliefs that can come up. Certain clothing and hairstyles aren't as appropriate as we age. Whoa, that one gets me every time, I have to say, when I hear, that skirt is too short, that haircut isn't, really the style for that age. So these are things that we hear or we tell ourselves, but where did we hear them, right? It's too late. I'll never now meet the man of my dreams. I'll never advance in my career or travel the world or hit these goals that I've set for myself. So all of these can be limiting beliefs that we either think them in our heads, maybe we say them out loud or hear others say them. Sometimes it's just that little inner voice niggling away and telling us these things that we probably shouldn't be listening to. So what makes this true, right? Let's move on to the next slide. And these are questions that we'd ask ourselves. So we mentioned before some of the self-development and transformational work that we add into our program. And sometimes it takes just a moment to sit and think, and sometimes we need a longer period of time to work through this. But why do I believe this, right? Why? Is it because grandma told me that? What makes this true? Is it true? If so, where's the evidence? I'd like to see, why is this true? Is it true for me? Or look at the next one. Is this actually true for someone else? So just because your sister's going through it doesn't mean that it's true for you. It doesn't mean that it's inevitably happening to you. Is it serving me or is it limiting me? And this is something that we have to think about as well, right? Like all of these beliefs, if they are, positive and leading us down a path of happiness, wonderful. But if they are limiting us in some way and telling us we can't do something, then that's definitely something that's not serving us. And then finally, how can I reframe this? If it's not serving me, how am I going to reframe this to make this a positive situation so that this is my new belief and this is going to work for me rather than holding me back? So these are just some of the questions, right? Truth versus perception. Is it really true, or is this just how I'm perceiving it? And these are things that if you were to hire a coach and go into a one-on-one session, these are questions that we would use to prompt you. And we always believe that you, as the client, as the person, have the answers within you. So you already know the answers, but you need to dig down deep. You need to, start discovering, start reflecting, and finding what the answers are for you. There's no right or no wrong, right? And in this type of environment that we've created, there's really like a no pressure, environment. It's very self-paced and a nice way to set your own pace yourself and explore. You can journal, you can take the time to really figure out the answer to these questions, right? You're not maybe pressured on the spot to have to answer like you would in a coaching session. So in a group coaching or an environment with a program where you can write things out, you have that time. And you really want to sort of dig in again, is this the truth, or have I limited myself because of the way that I am perceiving it? So through self-reflection and delving in, these are ways that we're going to discover more. We're going to realize, why are these things recurring in our life, right? Maybe there's something that is triggering us. Mel, if you don't mind going on to the next slide as well. Maybe we're feeling stuck in this area. We have ways that we can kind of tap into our subconscious and explore through different methods. We use things like breathing techniques or visualizations. I'm a big one using visualization all the time. Maybe guided meditations, coaching questions, journaling, group work, lots of ways. But the best part is, as you write down your answers, for example, in journaling, not only can you answer everything truthfully, right, and not have to worry about any type of judgment or anything like that, but you're able to track your progress. Maybe you think this now, but a month later, you look back and that's not how you feel anymore. Maybe you're here now in the journey and you're able to process and look at how things change as you change, right? And you're able to maybe reframe or reprogram some of these limiting beliefs to make them work for you. And we have lots of different methods that we can use for that as well. Then there's sometimes that light bulb moment, right? The aha moment. And I love it. That's when you just kind of hit that moment that says, that is what was happening, or that has been my trigger point throughout. And so this kind of work can really enhance it. And when we find those aha or light bulb moments, really, we know we're on track, and it really can help encourage more growth. And the nice thing is too, is sometimes even with writing it down, we carry a lot of it physically in our bodies, right? Whether it's tension or, anger, we're carrying it in our bodies. As soon as we put it down onto the page, it's almost like a physical release that we're releasing from our bodies onto the page. So we're able to kind of get it out of our bodies. It's a great way to release it and put it down on the paper, for a later time. So if you need that kind of quick release, that is also something that we really encourage. Now, here at Power and Aging, we are not interested in your limiting beliefs. We are interested in what makes you limitless, right? We want to help empower you to find your limitless self. And we have some really exciting things to share with you throughout our program, including the different themes that we use. And for this particular theme of limited beliefs, we also bring to you a really beautiful guided meditation that can help. Now, this is just one way. We're going to move into another area. I'm going to let Melanie take over or talk about body image, as she is our health coach.
All right. Thanks very much, Christine. So, body image. I don't know about all of you, but I've had trouble with that even as a young person without the wrinkles and the gray hair, et cetera, et cetera. But I find that it's a very big trigger for a lot of women as we get older and everything starts changing even more rapidly. So let's take a peek. So this is something you might have been saying to yourself, and I think it's a really great quote. You've been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. I think that's a magical quote because we tend to be very hard on ourselves, and it's much easier to do that, to point out our flaws instead of just trying to accept it. And it could be how we perceive things, right? It's all about our body image and what we're seeing versus what other people are seeing. Okay, this is also a great quote. And perhaps this sums it up quite nicely. Life is so much more beautiful and complex than a number on a scale, right? We tend to be some people get obsessive about that number on the scale that we see. We're weighing ourselves several times a day, and it does fluctuate even within the day, not even day to day, never mind week to week. So if we get a little too obsessed with that number on the scale instead of how you're feeling and all the good things that you're doing for your body, it can hinder us as well, right? So how do you feel about your body? Right? This is again what Christine was saying about truth versus perception. This banana gives us an idea of how we may look to others. And then when we look in the mirror, that doesn't really reflect the same thing, does it? So again, truth versus perception. Do you have a healthy body image of yourself? Do you hold on to sort of an image of when you were, 25 and in great shape and nothing could hold you down kind of thing? Does that perception of yourself, does it match the outside or vice versa, right? Does your outside match your inside? What are you seeing? Is it the truth or is it the perception of the truth? Again, people that see you often don't see what you're thinking about yourself. It's a very different picture altogether, right? So that being said, if you could change one thing about your physical body magically, just like that, what would it be? You can write it in the chat if you want. Often the very first thing that comes into your mind, that's going to be the thing that is the biggest thing for you. The thing that we find is most common, it could be, oh gosh, my skin is starting to sag, my hair is getting gray, or the consistency, like it's changing itself. Maybe you have a little weight you want to gain or lose. There's so many different things that our bodies go through, and it could be a number of these. Oh, we do have one here. Spare tire in the middle. Yeah, exactly. Yep. This isn't uncommon, right? So I don't know about you, but going through midlife, this is something that I can really relate to sometimes. Hormones gone wild. So you fluctuate from happy to grumpy to a little annoyed, and maybe you're doing what she's doing occasionally. That isn't unusual because, we've all gone through this transition when we were teenagers and we had all this stuff happening to ourselves, becoming an adult woman, and now we're adults. And now we have another transition happening. Plus, you might have had children. There's a whole transition in there too. We're always adjusting to these hormonal shifts that our body puts us through. So that can be another challenge that we have to navigate around, right? So the big question is, where do we start? Where do we start? Do we learn to love and accept ourselves where we're at right now? Or do we make conscious efforts to change that which we don't love about ourselves, right? That's an option as well. Well, here at Power and Aging, we think we need to do both. We take the things that we can change and we change those if they're important to us. Sometimes they're not important to us, and so there's no need to change them. And sometimes we are just going to accept them, right? And we'll have to make that compromise. Some things will change and some things we'll just let go, let it go, right? We'll just be okay with. So the next step is for those things that you want to change, how do we do that? Well, we have to learn what the baby steps are to make those mental changes, right? You have to prepare yourself to make these mental changes. It's a big deal. Change is hard for people. So that's the very first step. And if we take it in small chunks, it's a little bit easier than making, all the changes all at once. So we take those baby steps just so we can digest it a little bit every day. And we can really see those steps that we're taking. And therefore we feel a little bit better about the giant step we're going to take eventually by making those little baby steps. What are the physical healthy steps I can take to achieve these goals? So now we've dealt with mental. Now, again, what are those baby steps we're going to take? And we're going to do a physical change so that we can end up hitting that goal that we want to do. What are the things that can't be changed? Or maybe they can only partially be changed. If really addressing what's important to you is going to help you in your goal in the end. Working through our self-love and confidence challenges, right? That happens. And again, it shifts. Sometimes we're good. Sometimes we need a little help. So in Power and Aging, for example, the coaching course, this is a sample of what coaching questions you might get. And of course, this is really small. This is a really short time we have with you. So it's a sort of a condensed version of that, just to give you a little bit of value here today. So the first question here, I can't actually see it because there's something in the way. So I need to find it here. What is the one physical change? This is what I had asked you about before. What is that one physical change you would really love to make a reality? And this is something you can take a screenshot of afterwards or jot them down for yourself if you'd like, so that you can go back, because it is such a short period we have with you today. You can go back on it later and figure out how to go deeper with each question, because you won't have the time right now. Whoops, that's taking me the wrong direction.
And Charmaine has also added in the chat box as well, losing weight as being a challenge.
Yes, and that can really be a challenge as we get older as well, right? So it's just changing our focus and making things different if it's something that's important to us. And if it isn't, then we just have to get comfortable with how we are now, right? So the next question we would take after we've identified that, we would say, what would your life look like, for example, if that goal was hit? If you could make that a reality, what would it look like, right? So that's something you could really go deeper into when we're done with this and you want to take a look at it. Why is it going backwards? And then finally, this change that you're going to make, that you would be willing to make today, because that's a big thing. What we want, or what we want in our minds, doesn't mean that we really want to make all the changes to get there, because change, again, is not the easiest thing for us creatures of habits, right? So we have to really know what change we're willing to make ourselves healthier, to get to that goal in the end, and work from there. And that can change over time as well. Okay. Backwards one more time. Not sure why this is doing that. So that's just a little brief excerpt. We have so much more that we can go through just in that topic alone. Mind you, even hormones alone, the one slide we had, that's an entire month we've devoted in October, I believe. And there's so much involved in it. So there's so much deeper we can go, and that's what we like to help you on. I'm going to pass it along to Christine, and she's going to give us some information about grief and letting go, which is another big challenge in life. But as we get older, it happens more often, right?
Yeah. And as Mel pointed out, some of the questions she's asking, they're just tapping into the surface of the type of coaching questions, but we need to dig in a lot deeper than that, right? So with our limited time here, we want you to feel, like, how would I start to approach this? How would we start to work through this? And then you also want to think about, how will you feel if I manage, to achieve this, right? Will I finally be able to like love the person that's looking back at the mirror in me, right? I mean, so you want to imagine how this type of work is going to help you change your perspective on everything and how it's going to help you transform as you start to empower yourself, right? So, and we've seen already, like, with body image, with core beliefs, there is a lot to this thing called aging, especially in midlife. It's a huge period of transition. And at this point in our lives, we've already been through a lot of the bumps and the scars and the wrinkles that we have gained along the way to get us here. So, well done, we're here. And the nice thing is, as well, we've also gained that little bit of wisdom, experience. Maybe we're a little more crafty now to get what we want. And if you think of the analogy of going up, people say you're going downhill, up the hill, and it's all downhill from here, which I do not believe at any point. But if we are at the top of the hill, right, we are at a very good vantage point, right? We are now open to seeing things that we couldn't see before. We are now a lot wiser. And also, if we're aiming for the stars and reaching for those goals, we are at a really good spot to grab them, right? We're that much higher. And I know my hill likes to keep going up and up and up, and it's a lot of work to go uphill, but it's certainly better than heading downhill, right? So one final area, as Mel mentioned, is grief and letting go. This is a big area. This is something that we can only really just touch the surface on today together, but it's a big topic for us, and we do explore it quite deeply in one of our units in Power and Aging. It's kind of an untapped or maybe taboo subject, but I really believe it's a huge part of this middle age journey that we're on. I love this quote. There is nothing more rare nor more beautiful than a woman being unapologetically herself, comfortable in her perfect imperfection. And to me, that is the true essence of beauty. Absolutely. And this is what we say at Power and Aging: come as you are, exactly the way you are, perfectly imperfect. And we work from that point together, right, to help get to where we want. So when we're talking about grief, what's the first thing that comes to mind? I know for most people, when they think of grief, it's to do with death, right? But we usually associate it with losing a loved one, the death of a loved one, someone who's passed on. But grief can actually be the death of something else. It can be, let's say you're getting a divorce. So that's the death of that relationship, that marriage. What if you lose your job, right? That's technically the death or the end of that job as you know it, right? What comes with that? The end of the paycheck, the end of the daily routine that we've been knowing and loving. So there is a loss. There's something there that we are transitioning through, and we are grieving the loss of that. So it doesn't have to be about death. And actually, in particular, we are going to be talking about unconventional grief here in Power and Aging. So we're not actually tapping into right now the loss of, a person passing on. We're tapping into things like the loss of youth, the loss of things that we once had that we've now had to leave behind as we age and move on into different stages of our lives, right? Sometimes it's an expectation that we set for ourselves, or that somebody else put upon us, an expectation that they had for us that we are no longer achieving or never achieved. And we need to learn to let those things go in order to move on into the person that we want to be. So let's take a look at a few areas here, or reasons of, that we would be grieving, a few examples. So things we never accomplished, childhood dreams and visions that never came to fruition. I have a perfect example myself as a former actor, and in my 20s, I'm like, yeah, and I was, auditioning and hitting things and not hitting other things. And, as far as like getting the job. And I always had this vision in my head that by 30, I was going to have not only this beautiful nuclear family, which didn't happen by 30 by any means. But I also envisioned an Oscar on my mantle. I thought, this is it. This is going to be my, time. I'm going to have this big successful career. And now I've come to this part where I'm now turning 50. Nowhere near that. I took a turn off of that road a long time ago. So it's about letting go of these ideas that we had for ourselves, right? Careers, we didn't have the success that we expected, maybe, or it took a total path turn and maybe you're doing something different. What about relationships? That fairy tale romance we always dreamed of growing up. Did we ever find our Prince Charming? Maybe we did and it didn't last, So these are things we need to grieve. We need to let go of in order to move forward. Places we never traveled to. Now that sounds like an odd one, but I know as we age, the thought of traveling changes. I used to backpack around Thailand. Now I'm like, I prefer a little bit more of a comfy hotel and maybe a suitcase, like we change as we age, right? And maybe something we were holding on to, a vision of what we could accomplish in this world, has now changed. So we need to let go of that. We need to be able to, first of all, acknowledge it, right? Grieve it, release it, and move forward. So there's like that process that we have to go through. And think about it as well. We put a huge pressure on ourselves to become something. But what if this was something that we were never meant to become? Right? I do believe things happen for a reason, and we are here for a certain reason. We took the path that we chose, for a reason. So letting go of our perception of what we thought we had to be or where we needed to be by a certain age, we need to work on letting that go. This was actually the whole inspiration for me for creating Power and Aging, because it was that time that I had that aha moment in the mirror and, where was I at, and letting it go. So this quote as well, I love. We regret the choices we didn't make far more than the choices we did make. Let that sink in. As you choose to not take that leap of faith, or to not, try something new, or as you tell yourself to hold back, don't do it, or as you choose to not invest in yourself, right, and your future, and getting the support that you need. These are things that are going to hold us back. So sometimes, as this next quote says, sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on. So again, for myself, it was this feeling of being, stuck, a feeling like, I am turning 50. Where am I going now? I never reached the goals that I thought I was going to. I'm on a completely different path. And with that came this feeling of failure. And that's a really hard thing to release, even though in my, conscious mind, I knew I hadn't failed and that I was actually on the path that I'd chosen and was here for a reason. There was that little subconscious voice that said, well, you know what, you changed careers because you didn't succeed at the former one, and that whole sense of failure. And again, that is a really, hard pill to swallow and to let go of. So I had to do that whole process with, going through the grief of it and reframing it, and now looking at it in a different way, right? Where am I at now? Why am I here? What's my vision for my life right now? Where, and am I even near where my vision is taking me? So how am I going to get from here to where I think I'm supposed to be? So this version of myself that I was looking at in the mirror, I didn't feel like it was even me, or, and I didn't want to accept being stuck. So I knew there was going to be work. I knew that I had to get out of this little rut, work through it, and start setting, new goals and new aspirations for where I was at this age. It's a lifelong journey. It's a process. We need to do self-exploration, self-discovery, and get rid of what's not serving us, so that we can work towards being proactive and taking charge of our life. And that's what we want for you as well at Power and Aging. This quote from Tony Robbins pretty much sums up my thoughts on life and why live an ordinary life when you can live an extraordinary life, right? Those are words to live by. We, you know, we set sort of a mediocrity goal for our lives. But for me, that's not good enough. I want more from this lifetime, right? So all of these things that we've outlined come to play as areas of aging, just touching the surface of a few of them. But they all start to weigh on us, right? And we can overlook and not even realize how they're affecting us every day of our lives. Maybe they're affecting our experiences or our relationships. Maybe it just affects whether we want to get up in the morning or, stay motivated. And it can really, affect the different outcomes that we have in our lives. So, by tapping into this and addressing it, right, we are going to start to do the work, and we're going to do it together. These are just a few topics of literally dozens that we have here at Power and Aging that we can work through. So finding alignment and harmony with our lives is key. Your mind, this next quote, and emotions and body are instruments, and the way you align and tune them determines how well you play life. Let that sink in, how well you play life. And that reminds me that we need to find, those youthful moments, our inner child. We need to bring back the fun and the creativity that needs to be at every stage of our life, right? Not just when we were younger. Have we lost that, right? We want to find that, and we want to find that through power in aging and empowering ourselves. So all of this kind of brought back together. It's not only about the self-development work that we've talked about that's so important. We also need to stay motivated, to have challenges, right? To give us tips and tools, things that keep us in alignment. And as we mentioned, finding that balance and harmony that we want in our lives. Even more than that, what's going to help us is a supportive community. They will help keep us accountable to ourselves, right? Most importantly, but also to one another. And we need to have a strong why. We talk about that a lot in our program. Why do you need to have this in your life, right? We need to have that emotional connection in order to make it really important so that we keep the commitment to ourselves. I first joined a membership group myself over 4 years ago. And what I discovered was that my absolute favorite part, the thing that kept me coming and kept me engaged, was a small support group that they put us in, that we met up on a regular basis. For me, it was like intensely gratifying. And to this day, even though the course itself stopped over 2 years ago, we still meet. I meet with these same wonderful women every other week, and we've been doing it for over 4 years now. So I can't stress enough to you that this, for me, has been a very important part of my journey. And I realized that I wanted this type of support group to continue and be a part of our Power and Aging community as well. So we want to invite you to have that same experience. So I'd like to piece all of this together and kind of drop back into our initial survey that we asked you. If you remember, in the beginning of this webinar, we asked you to choose which way would best help you to find your power in aging. Again, we talked about exploration of, vital topics that are about midlife and aging, the self-development and transformational work, healthy challenges and tips and tools to promote growth, live coaching and group coaching sessions, and then of course your active engagement in your supportive groups. So we want to show you how we have all of these 5 points that we have created in an online membership program that we really hope is going to, not only touch your heart and speak to you, but these will be the best elements that can help with your personal transformation. So just to explain each of these a little bit separately, our program, how it comes together, is when you sign up, you are given a private portal, like your own website with your password, and you log in, and each month you're going to unlock a new theme of aging. It's kind of a surprise that everyone looks forward to each month, finding out what it is. So this would be our area of focus for that month. You get your self-paced work that you work on your own time, such as journaling, coaching questions, self-exploration and discovery work. And there's also guided videos every week to help you through that part of the theme. And then twice a month, you get to meet up with your, as we affectionately call it, your groupette. And this is the work that you come together, as I mentioned, in your little intimate support group, and you can bring that theme forward that month and work through your challenges. We give you a specific guided format, so you don't have to worry about what you're going to say or do. It's nice and easy and simple, and you work through it together. It's your chance for a sisterhood or a bond that brings your like-hearted group of women together, to get through this common goal, right? Surviving the process of aging and riding through this journey together. And then once a month, you have a group coaching session with Mel and myself. So you have the life coaching and the health coaching. We dive into the area of that month's theme. And not only do you get to feel supported by professional coaches, but you also have your tribe of women there, right? That we can all learn from. We all have our own wisdoms and wealth of experiences to bring into the group together. New ideas. We always need to be inspired by new ideas, right? So every month we also offer you tips and tools for you to explore and try and see if that could be a possible game changer for you in this area. And then we put together a power list, which is our recommendation list that month for areas of growth that can help you towards it, in terms of reading material, podcasts, YouTube videos, recipes, books, things like that. Finally, power hours. This is something Mal and I really felt important to add as kind of a bonus, because you already have all your self-exploration and you have your group work. But a power hour we decided to create is a 1 hour time period twice a month that we just open up the Zoom room and give you a chance to come on if you have any questions, if you're feeling stuck in your journey, if you're not sure about something that you saw in the video or a coaching question. So it's your opportunity to pop in, say hello, get support from, Mel and myself in the areas that you need. If you don't need anything, you don't have to show up. It's not mandatory, but it is a nice added bonus for those that might want a little extra support in this journey together. So we have tried to create a full package for you, and we know that it will be transformational and life-changing, but only if we have something from you, which is a commitment. You need to show up. You need to show up for yourself. Remember, this is for you, and you are worth it. We need you to practice accountability, right? You need to start showing up in your life. You want it to be different. You need changes. You need to show up for that. So this is about, showing up for yourself and also for the other women that are in your group, because they're showing up for you for support. So you need to be accountable for them as well. And because we realize that time is precious and we're all busy and we've got, busy lives happening, we really did try to make it and combine the best of both worlds. So you have your specific times that you're showing up twice a month for your small groupettes, once a month for your group coaching, but the rest of it, it's all self-paced development work that you can, watch the videos, do the questions and the challenges on your own time, in your own schedule. So it's really a win-win formula. For me personally, I believe that you can't have the growth that you truly desire without both, right? You need the self deep dive into that work and to start doing your, as I say, open heart surgery. But you also need a supportive community. We are, innately social creatures. We need other people around us. We want to, unpack things and have people hear us and be heard, right? So having that combination with the group work as well as our own self work is super valuable and makes the whole package complete. So at this point, we hope that you're thinking, wow, this sounds great, just what I need right now. But you probably want us to cut to the bottom line. We've discussed, your time commitment, but what would your financial investment be required to be a part of our program for an entire year? So let me explain how this works. As all online programs are now, in US dollars, we do have an international, if you will, community. Everything is normally based in US dollars, $333 for the entire year. But we have a special promotion. This is our first year launching. We launched back in May. So we had this offer at the time, and we are going to extend it for our first year to become a founding member. And that is our invitation to you. We would love for you to be a part of our community group and our Power and Aging community by offering you the founding member. And that is a special rate of not being in US dollars. First of all, Canadian dollars. So 333 Canadian dollars is a lot more doable, I know, for a lot of Canadians. You are saving approximately 35% with our dollar being in the state that it is in. So you would pay in Canadian dollars instead of American dollars. Also, by locking in as a founding member, you are entitled to that same discounted rate every year that you choose to continue with us. So if you want to continue into another year, you're locked in at that special rate as well. We also wanted to entice you with an extra bonus, and that is sort of like a referral program and joining with a friend. So if you have somebody that you think, oh my gosh, you know what, I think they would love to do this program as well, we would love the referral. And by doing so, both you and the friend that you are referring get an extra 11% discount. That's my magic number, which you'll know if you know me, or if you come to know me more, you'll know a little bit more about 11. But that will help you not only with the cost and bringing it under $300 to $297. And if you break that down really monthly, it's, I think somebody worked it out to maybe $24 a month, which is like a couple of Starbuckses, and you are investing in yourself for that cost. But it's for both of you, and it's just also an extra piece of accountability, right? You have a friend that's coming with you, so you're going to show up and keep each other on track and keep each other accountable. And finally, we wanted to offer an extra bonus just for you guys being here right now, and we really appreciate it. So the first 11 people, again, there's that magic 11, that's going to join us on this journey at this period of time, starting for September 1st, will be gifted a free coaching session, one-on-one, personal, geared just to you and your needs, with either myself if you're looking for life coaching, or with Melanie if you need something specific for health and wellness. And you can choose to use that anytime throughout the year. If you want to hold off and wait till you need it, you can book that with us at any time. So that's our gift to you, for acting now, for saying, you know what, hey, I'm worth it. I'm going to make that investment in myself, and I'm going to just jump in and do it. And don't forget, this is for an entire year. This isn't your monthly pricing. We want you to commit for a year. And I've had this question before, why is it for a year and not monthly? Because it takes time for transformation, right? We don't want you to jump in and then, 1 month you're busy and it didn't go the way you want, so you just fall off. No, you know what? You need to be held accountable, and we want you to commit for a lengthier period of time so that you do show up. And you might have a month that you're really busy and you're not as engaging, but you know what? You can go back and do the work anytime on your own. Once you've unlocked that month, you can, keep it open and go back to it. That will, whenever it will serve you. So you need to be able to show up, and you need that time to see the transformation, right? So just going over everything again, our price for the entire year is US $333. We are offering you the opportunity to be a founding member for Canadian $333, locking you in at that savings of about 35%. And then if you do choose to refer this to a friend, you will each get 11% off. Obviously, we'd love you to refer them now so they can join with you. But if you don't have somebody, and maybe in a couple of months you're really enjoying the program and you decide, I'm going to share then, and they can enter at the next time, then you will be refunded that 11%. So we will honor that throughout the year that you're a member with us as well. And then again, of course, the bonus coaching session for the first 11 people that join. So, and just a little note as well, we try to make it where we all work together. So we only have 3 entrance points. So it's January, May, and September. So by now you would be starting in September 1st. If you somehow miss our 1 week of joining period, you would have to wait till January to join. So we don't want you to miss out on that opportunity. We believe, that we have a mission statement on our website. You can see our mission is to help you transform the currency of youth, to look at aging differently, right? Pro-aging, to look at youth differently. The currency or energy that we put into this world is what we have to use, and we use it to trade for things, right? We use it as a currency, and what you put in, you can expect to receive back. So we need you to treat aging as that energy exchange. We have a lot to give. So let's make it a positive and abundant energy exchange. We know that you were drawn to us for a reason, and it's not by chance that you are here. We don't believe in coincidences. So based on that, we only have 2 questions left to ask you. And the first is it time to invest in your transformation? Oh, I love that photo. And secondly is, will you join us? We thank you so much for spending some of your time and energy with us this afternoon. And we would love to open up the floor to some questions. If you have any questions for us, really appreciate it. Oh, Charmaine, I see your little clapping. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourselves. Again, this won't, your camera is not on, so you can write in the chat, or you can also just jump in and ask if you have any questions. Oh, Lori had to sign off. Yep, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for the reminder. Wonderful. We look forward to having Lori in our September session as well. Thank you. Oh, thank you as well, Charmaine. If you have questions, we do, I guess I didn't really stress, and I probably should, our website at powerandaging.com has our membership page. You just go to that, scroll to the bottom, and it has your options for payment there. If you are outside of Canada, obviously you do have to use PayPal as a way of payment. If you're within Canada, which I know you ladies on with us here are, it would be easier, and we do prefer just an e-transfer in terms of payment for the program, and I can get you that information as well. As you've registered, we will send you a follow-up email with some more instruction on that. We do hope that you'll jump on board and be one of the first 11 so that you'll get the bonus coaching session as well. And again, share with your friends, like, this might be something that you guys, commit to doing it together and jumping in. So we really appreciate your time. I don't see any questions coming up right now, Mel. But Charmaine, did you have any questions for us? I know I've already chatted with Susan. We'll be sharing with friends. Awesome. Thank you. We do have one other date coming up next, not this Tuesday, next Tuesday, August 29th at 8 p.m. And maybe your friends can join us through the same link that you signed up with. If you want to encourage them to register that way, Charmaine, then they can thank you. They can join us for the next live session, and we are going to send out the replay for those that, had signed up but weren't here. I sometimes am busy and signed up for things and forget, and then I'm happy to watch it via replay. So we'll do that as well. Amazing. Thank you. Lovely to meet you. Yes, lovely to meet you, Charmaine and Susan, who we've met before. Thank you for joining us. And we will hope to be in touch and would love to welcome you into our community for September 1st. All right. So if no other questions, I will end the session today and hope that we continue meeting after this. Thank you, everybody. Bye.